Hare Krishna. Thank you everybody for joining for ISV's Wednesday evening Krishna Katha. So we'll start with the Pranam mantra. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathantam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Te Namine Shri Varshabhana Videvi Daitaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuro Jvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shri Mutaye Deenatarini Rupanuga Virodhapas Pasiddhanta Dvanta Harini Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagyamurtaye Vipralambara Sambodhi Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namini Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varaditi Gaura Virbhava Bhumi Svam Nidishta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhoma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Namo Mahamadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Tadara Shivasadi Gaura excuse me. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Manda Mate Gati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madano Divyadvindaranya Kalpadromada Srimad Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Krishtalibi Sivyamano Smara Srimandra Sarasaram Divam Shivata Tatastitha Karshan Venu Swanir Gopir Gopinatha Shri Sunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Am I audible, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, very clear.
Thank you. Today, I'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, and the section is when Supreme Lord is pleased with Lord Brahma's austerities, and he appears before Lord Brahma and gives him darshan of Vaikunta. So that section of few verses we'll go through. So before we begin, we can sing Jai Radha Madhava, and I need to get Kartal. I'll be back in a second. Sorry, yeah. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, So, this is second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 9, and I'll just give some background what is happening, particularly in this chapter. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam second canto, I especially find it difficult to actually understand. But this particular section is very inspiring for me personally because when Lord Brahma is appeared on the lotus stem sprouting from the navel of the Lord, at that time he doesn't know what he has to do, where he has come from, where he has to go, and he's bewildered and he's confused. But then he actually hears the word tapa tapa in his ears, so he hears that, and then he understands that he has to execute austerity. So understanding this is coming from the Lord, so he actually undergoes severe penances for 1,000 celestial years. And then the Lord, pleased by his austerities, appears in front of him. So, and then when the Lord appears, he is so pleased by the Lord Brahma's austerities and his service attitude that he gives him the darshan of Vaikunta and his own personal darshan in the abode along with his associates. So that is the some of the, just a brief summary. Now, the second this particular chapter. So yeah, we can keep the screen over the 9-10 words somewhere there. And then some of the verses we'll also read, or we can take a turn to read also. So I will be reading from my copy of Bhagavatam here. So that is there for me. And if at any time, if I'm not audible, please let me know. And if anybody has any question or comment in between also, we can discuss. So so how it comes all the way to 9th chapter, where the Shukadeva Goswami is answering Parikshit Maharaj's question. And just give a brief background again. What is the path that led to this all this the answer that is being given. So in the second canto, mainly primary creation is basically the universal creation is described, and Shukadeva Goswami describes many spiritual paths like Ashtanga Yoga, etc. And then he actually establishes the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga above all the different spiritual paths. That is actually the you can see the summary of it. And then first 3 chapters he describes about karma kanda. He rejects the karma kanda, and then he describes how Ashtanga yogi he is attached to his desires. He meditates on the universal form of the Lord, and then in that way he can achieve the liberation. And the person who then he describes the person who practices yoga, his object of meditation can be different depending on his advancement. So a yogi who is attached to his desires, he can actually navasadak, we can call him as a navasadak or neophyte yogi. He meditates on the Virata Rupa, and advanced yogi actually meditates on the Paramatma. And then after all this description, Shukadeva Goswami offers prayers to the Lord before describing the further going the details of the universal creation. Then he, in 5th and 6th chapter, after 4th chapter prayers, 5th and 6th chapter, he described Purushavatara. So that is, and then that is the sarga part of the creation. That is the creation, primary creation done by the Supreme Lord in Purushavatara forms. And then in 7th chapter, he describes the Leela Avataras, all the different incarnations of the Lord, and which has different pastimes like Matsya Kurma, etc., and Lord Rama, etc. Then in 8th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj asks so many questions to Shukadeva Goswami. So the questions, for example, he asks, what are the characteristics of the universe? What is the shelter of the universe? What are the ingredients of the universe? How it was created, etc. Now, Shukadeva Goswami starts answering these questions in this chapter 9, right? So this is where we come actually. So here we are here in chapter 9. Now, I'm going to go to directly to the verse 8. If you can open the verse 8, Girdhari. And so those who are present today here, Can one of you like to read the translation of this verse?
Yeah, I can read Mataji.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah, this is 298 translation. Lord Brahma underwent penances for 1,000 years by the calculations of the demigods. He heard this transcendental vibration from the sky and he accepted it as divine. Thus, he controlled his mind and senses, and the penances executed were a great lesson for all living entities. Thus, he is known as the greatest of all.
So, 1,000 years, that's the celestial years, and he did the penances. Now, Lord Brahma, when he could not find his origin, he went down to the lotus stem, then he came up, then he heard tapa tapa, and then he started the austerity. And in the in the next verse, the Lord, I'm going to read the translation. We can scroll down to the 9. The personality of Godhead, being thus very much satisfied with the penance of Lord Brahma, was pleased to manifest his personal abode Vaikunta, the supreme planet above all others. This transcendental abode of the Lord is adored by all self-realized persons, freed from all kinds of miseries and fear of illusory existence. Now, this particular verse, it is mentioned that the Lord was pleased by the tapa done by Brahma, and he manifested his Vaikunta in front of Lord Brahma in his vision, so he could see it. Now, in the purport, Prabhupada says that the penances, the troubles that Lord Brahma took, and the penances that he did for this whole process he underwent, that were in the line of devotional service. It was in the form of bhakti yoga. Now, we can see that Prabhupada is trying to establish a fact here that Lord Brahma didn't do penance just for some material gain. Actually, it comes in the bhakti yoga lineage. Basically, it is a form of devotional service, whatever trouble he took. And then he mentions in the purport that there is undoubtedly trouble in executing penance, but the trouble accepted in executing bhakti yoga is transcendental happiness from the very beginning, whereas the trouble of penance in other processes of self-realization is it just trouble only and nothing more. So jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, etc. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning. Prabhupada also says that there is no profit in writing husk without grains. So basically, any tapa done, if it is not a form of bhakti yoga, if it is not for the pleasure of the Lord, then it is basically not useful, and it is just it is only trouble only, and there is no gain in that. That's what Prabhupada is trying to mention. We can also think about tapa done by great personalities throughout the Bhagavatam, like Hiranyakashipu. He did great austerities actually, and then but his motive was he wanted to become immortal, he wanted to become powerful, and at the same time, Prahlad Maharaj, what was his tapa? Just always remembering the Lord, and his intense devotion and attachment to the Lord. Both of the tapa and different personalities, both of them have their own tapa in their own way, but the Lord appeared to kill the one person and to protect the other person. And that is the difference when somebody is an action that is done for the pleasure of the Lord, in attachment to the Lord, out of devotion to the Lord, and an action that is done, a tapa is done just for the some material gain. So Prabhupada says there is no profit in executing troublesome penances other than bhakti yoga. And there is also I remember one story. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his book Upakhyan Upadesha. He tells a lot of different stories there. And there's one story where once it, actually I don't know the story in detail, but I remember one of the, one of our, I think Kuladev Prabhu had told this story in one of his classes, and Prabhupada also has quoted it in some of his class. And it is about a yogi who actually, by doing austerities, he has the ability to cross over the water, just walk over the water without getting wet, like just walk over the water without submerging himself. I think he could achieve that, siddhi. And our acharyas actually comment that if somebody, how much does it take to cross the river, there is some effort definitely, but if you see, it is quoted as it's a charana siddhi. Charana means his feet actually is a charan, so his feet actually could walk on the water. So it's a charana siddhi. He got some siddhi on his feet, some power, mystic power. But it is quoted as saying as a charana siddhi because how much does it take, in that old age to cross the river? It takes some charana in old age, some 4 paisa, something like that. So it's like a charana siddhi. So what use you could get, getting such siddhi out of, doing so much penance, it is as much worth as charana, like that. So I just, I remembered that story. But if you do the same penances to please the Lord um, and do some penances to please the Lord, then the outcome is the blessings of the Lord. So that is the difference. So, Charana Siddhi may not be so, useful other than just making a show off out of some penances. So it's like a Charana Siddhi, it just takes Charana. And then moving to the text 10. Now here, if somebody wants to read the text 10, 9.10.
That in that personal abode of the Lord, the material modes of ignorance and passion do not prevail, nor is there any of their influence in goodness. There is no predominance of the influence of time, so what to speak of the illusory external energy? It cannot enter that region. Without discrimination, both the demigods and the demons worship the Lord as devotees.
Thank you much. So here in this na yatra maya kimu tapare, basically the 3 modes of material nature do not exist in the spiritual world, right? So now this is the vision. What is Brahma seeing in front of his eye is the spiritual world, Vaikunta. That's a description that in that abode, personal abode of the Lord, there is no influence of the 3 modes of material nature. So na yatra maya kimutapare. That's what it means. Now, in this particular translation, that's what mentioned that these external modes of nature cannot enter this particular supreme abode of the Lord. Now, here everybody is in Sattva Guna, but that Sattva Guna in Vaikunta is the Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva. So Shuddha Sattva is different than the Sattva Guna in the material world, the mode of goodness. The material mode of goodness in this world, in a material world, can be invariably mixed with mode of passion and ignorance. But the Shuddha Sattva in the material world is always Shuddha Sattva. It's a Shuddha. There's no mixture, basically. So now, these 3 modes of material nature, Prabhupada actually explains how goodness in the material world at also times becomes contaminated by touches of the modes of passion and ignorance. And in Vaikuntalaka, it is unalloyed goodness only. So we just discussed that. And in this regard, also, I remember when before going to the story that I was remembering, there is a mention of demons in this verse. Without discrimination, both the demigods and the demons worship the Lord as devotees. So in the now this is Vaikunta and there's a mention of demons. Actually, that I could not find the reference as to why demons are mentioned there. If anybody on this call know, maybe please you can add some detail and some shed some light there. At least I could not find that reference. Now, for the gunas, and that has been mentioned here, there's another story quoted by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that I was remembering that there was a kingdom, and in the kingdom there's a prince, the son of the king. Then there is a son of the minister for the same kingdom, and there is the son of the treasurer, right? Three of them. So prince, then son of the minister, and the son of the treasurer. Three of them. Now, three of them, they are close friends, and then they go traveling together, far and wide, and they reach some other kingdom there in their journey. And they reach another kingdom where in a big palace they see there are three young girls, and the three of them are again for that kingdom. One of them is a princess, the daughter of the king of that kingdom. Second one is the daughter of the minister. Third is the daughter of the treasurer for that kingdom. And it so happens that the three gentlemen, the prince and the boys that came there, they approached the three girls and they asked, "Who are you?" and their whereabouts. And then they actually proposed them for the marriage. And the girls also agreed; they were happy to accept. But the king was not in the kingdom, and the parents were not around. And but they couldn't wait till the parents come back, and then the marriage took place. They got married, all three of them. When the king returned, king of the basically the father of the princess, and then the father of the minister of that kingdom, and then the treasurer, they all returned. And when they saw that these three girls got married, then the king became very angry that in his absence the princess and the other two girls also, especially the princess, also got married. And then they said, okay, we should these boys have come and influenced our innocent children, and then let's arrest them. And then the king arrests them and then puts them in the jail. Now these three girls, they request the king and their fathers that kindly excuse our husbands. Now they are our husbands. We are married to them. Please be considerate. Now the situation is not. They are not just any other people. They are our husbands. Like that, they are trying. They requested. And then the king said, "All right, we will show them due respect." And he said, for the husband of the princess, we'll put golden shackles, and for the husband of the minister's daughter, we'll put silver shackles, and for the husband of the treasurer's daughter, we'll put iron shackles. So according to their status, we'll show them some respect. Now so now Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, after quoting this story, he gives a purport and he says that even though it may be made of some precious metal, gold, silver, or iron, but they are after all shackles. They are after all being imprisoned. Similarly, the Lord awards all the living entities according to their fruitive reactions, their karma of their fruitive, reactions of their fruitive karma for their mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, like that. So this way, any person, so these three modes of material nature, how a person in this material world can get influenced and rewarded according to their karma. and these three more. So this is Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur's purport, and then he again in that purport he says that after all their shackles and it is just an imprisonment, and if at all somebody can surrender to the Lord, unconditional surrender to the Lord, then actually he can come out of this three modes of material nature, and then he can see the Lord face to face. So basically, and then he can be situated in the Shuddha Sattva. So that is so basically in the, and then after that in this particular purport, Prabhupada quotes different shastras, different Puranas, and he says that how Vaikunta atmosphere is enriched with transcendental qualities. He's telling from the different Puranas. He quotes Srila Jiva Goswami. So this is, I think, third paragraph. So Srila Jiva Goswami is, as quoted by Srila Jiva Goswami, we can know from the Narada Pancharatra that the transcendental world or Vaikunta atmosphere is enriched with the transcendental qualities. Then also there is a mention about the Padma Purana, Uttarakhanda. It is stated that beyond 1/4 of parts God's creation, there is a 3/4 manifestation. And then the Viraja river, which is the perspiration from the Lord between the transcendental abode and the material world. And then there is a mention of Sankhya Kaumudi, and then there is a Agama Puranas. So in the Agama Purana, transcendental abode is described as follows. The associated members, they are free to go everywhere within the creation of the Lord, and there is no limit to such creation, particularly in the region of the 3/4 magnitude. Now, and in such abode of the Lord, the vision that the Lord Brahma is having in front of his eyes of the Vaikunta, for this Vaikunta there is no creation or annihilation, and it is always existing, and there is a Nitya happening of the Lord all the time. And whereas in the temporary world, everything is being created and annihilated, and that's what Prabhupada is mentioning. And the duration of life between the creation and annihilation is just a temporary duration. So that's what Prabhupada is mentioning. Now, all these Puranas give so much description of the, like it is mentioning here about the spiritual abode and the material world and the Viraja river in between. And then there is so many details also. Actually, Lord Brahma is having the vision through Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu became happy with Brahma, and then he is manifesting this vision in front of Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu himself. Now, Lord Brahma is able to have this darshan by Lord's mercy. And it is not very easy to understand all this. I'm talking for me from the perspective that how material world and spiritual, of course, from the Shastras we know, but the intricacies of the modes, how they exist here but not there, and then the Lord's Leela, it can be little bewildering if one does not have faith or devotion to the Lord, to be able to, to be able to actually grasp all this, what Lord is actually mentioning, Shukdev Goswami is mentioning here in this text, and Prabhupada is also elaborating on the purports. Of course, Prabhupada's purport is making it much easier, and Prabhupada's purport is like, it's very, it gives me clarity when I'm reading. And for especially think about Lord Brahma, when he's hearing and seeing directly from Lord Vishnu, so much understanding he must be, getting. I was just thinking, I work in networking area. So whenever there's a new feature that comes about, and we have to work on it. So we need to understand the design, and they gave us a document. It's called a functional spec. So we should go through the design document, read it and understand what is the feature so that we are able to test it as a test engineer. Now, when we go through the functional spec, it is some understanding comes, but then there are more than that, there will be a lot of questions. Then there will be a meeting where the engineers who have designed the feature, they will actually explain the feature, on a whiteboard or, through the discussion. Now at that time, it becomes much clearer because they are the one who implemented the design, And I was just thinking, otherwise just by reading the, functional spec, it is like it just comes up. We come up with a lot of questions, and like suppose I'm working on one feature, and now there's another layer of protocol that has been added to that feature for extra security, and we need to understand how they interact between two and how the packets are encapsulated. And that design, when you hear from the people who implemented it, becomes much clearer. So here, as the Lord Brahma's position, when he is seeing directly from Lord Vishnu, must be having so much clarity. And Prabhupada's purport help us understand in a better way. Now, in the next couple of verses, the vision, how the Vaikunta, inhabitants of the Vaikunta planets are, they are described, how they look like. Now, so I will read these verses. The inhabitants of the Vaikunta planets are described. So this is verse 11. Are described as having a glowing sky bluish complexion. Their eyes resemble lotus flowers. Their dress is of yellowish color, and their bodily features very attractive. They are just at just the age of growing youths. They all have 4 hands, and they are all nicely decorated with pearl necklaces with ornamental medallions, and they all appear to be effulgent. And in the next verse, some of them are effulgent like coral, diamonds, and in complexion, and have garlands on their heads, blooming like lotus flowers, and some wear earrings. Now, this is a very beautiful description. Prabhupada says in the purport that there are different bodily features in different places of a particular planet. And for example, here 4 hands is a difference, right? For the Vaikunta people, they Sarupya Mukti, they attain the Lord's same form as the Lord with the 4 hands. So those are the 2 verses there. How the residents of Vaikunta look like. And then also in the next verse, it is described about the aeroplanes in Vaikunta, how they are glowing and brilliantly situated, etc. Now I'm going to go directly to the verse 14. In the 14 verse, I'll just sing this verse. Shri Yatra Rupinya Rugaya Padayo Karoti Manam Bahuda Vibhuti Rekham Shritaya Kusuma Karanugai Vigiyamana Priyakarma Gayati. So this is about the goddess of fortune in her transcendental form is engaged in loving service of the Lord's lotus feet and being moved by the black bees, followers of spring. She is not only engaged in variegated pleasure service to the Lord along with her constant companion, but is also engaged in singing the glories of the Lord's activity. Priyakarma Gayati, singing the activities of the dearmost Lord. Very beautiful verse. So they are not just doing the service, but they are singing the glories. The Lakshmis are singing the glories of the Lord. Text 15. Lord Brahma saw in the Vaikunta planets. I'm going to read the translation for 15. Lord Brahma saw in the Vaikunta planets the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the entire devotee community, the Lord of Goddess of Fortune, the Lord of all the sacrifices, and the Lord of the universe, who is served by the foremost servitors like Nanda, Sunanda, Prabala, and Arhana, his immediate associates. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that whenever we speak of a king, he is always associated with his assistants, followers, and paraphernalia. So Lord is associated with his confidential associates, and they are all described over here in this particular verse. Now, in the 16th verse, we'll go to 16th verse. I'll sing the verse. Mritya prasada abhimukham dragasavam prasannahasarunaLochananam Kiritinam kundalinam chaturbhujam Pitamshukam vakshasi lakshitam shriya. Translation. The personality of Godhead, seen leaning favorably towards his loving servitors, is very sight, intoxicating and attractive, appeared to be very much satisfied. He had a smiling face decorated with an enchanting reddish hue. He was dressed in yellow robes and wore earrings and a helmet on his head. He had 4 hands, and his chest was marked with the lines of goddess of fortune. A very beautiful verse. Now here, if you it is mentioned the scene leaning favorably towards his loving servitors. It's very important here. Britya prasada vimukham means seen leaning favorably towards his loving servitors. Britya, the servitor, prasada, affection, abhimukham, favorably facing. So the Lord, or the Brahma is seeing, Lord Brahma is seeing, the Lord is situated with so many residents. They are all 400, they're all beautiful, they are dressed in golden attire and then yellowish attire. They are wearing pearl necklaces. The Lord is there also, and how the Lord is situated. He is actually he's also description. He's served by the Lakshmis who are singing, and how is his disposition? He is actually favorably, smilingly looking towards the devotee. So leaning favorably towards his loving servitors. That is very nicely explained here. And if Mataji, if you can pull Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 24.42 verse. There is a similar verse over there, and I found this quotation in the Vijana Prabhu's book. So 2442. 2442. Sorry if I do it.
No, it should have been my fault. Okay.
Aishwarya Madhurya Karunye Swarupa Purnata Bhakta Vatsalya Atma Paryanta Vadanyata. Krishna's transcendental qualities of opulence, sweetness, and mercy are perfect and full. As far as Krishna's affectionate leaning towards his devotee is concerned, he is so magnanimous that he can give himself to his devotee. So leaning towards the devotee. So this is the similar words, right? How Lord is very favorably situated towards his devotee. Now, in the purport, Prabhupada mentions about the Padma Purana Uttarakhanda. Now, this Padma Purana Uttarakhanda is mentioned many times in the purport, Prabhupada, because there is a full description about the Vaikunta given there. And Prabhupada is saying here that is a full description of Yoga Pita, or the particular place where the Lord is in audience to his eternal devotees. Okay. So Yoga Pita, basically, I mean, if we remember Yoga Pita, we remember Lord Chaitanya's birthplace. But if from Sanskrit point of view, yoga means to connect. Pita is the feet, or we can translate it. Probably can translate in many ways and many meanings. But basically, where the Lord appeared and he made the connection to the to this world. And here, basically, it is mentioned that the Lord, where the Lord is giving the audience to his eternal devotees. That is, in that Yoga Pita, the personifications of religion, knowledge, opulence, and renunciation are all seated at the lotus feet of the Lord. These are all personalities. The personification, knowledge, opulence, renunciation, they are all sitting at the lotus feet of the Lord. And the 4 Vedas, Ruksham, Ruksam, Yajurveda, and Atharva Veda, they are there to, give personally advice to the Lord. That's what it is mentioned. So, how Lord is there situated so beautifully with all these associates sitting at his lotus feet, and Lord is favorably disposed towards them. So this beautiful vision that Brahma is seeing. Now we go to the 17th verse, which is the time check. I'm going to read the 17th translation. The Lord was seated on his throne and was surrounded by different energies like the 4, 16, 5, and the 6 natural opulences, along with other insignificant energies of the temporary character. But he was the actual Supreme Lord, enjoying his own abode. So this is again the more description how the Lord is situated along with all his energies. Now, in the purport, this particular purport, there is some good point here. What Prabhupada is saying. So as the Lord is, Lord has appeared, he's talking to Brahma, he's giving his vision, and Prabhupada is again in the purport, he is elaborating more. So one point here is mentioned that the yogis are dependent on the Lord's mercy. This is the last paragraph of this purport of 17. So out of his immensely charitable disposition, the Lord can award some temporary powers to the yogis because of the yogis' hankering after them. But to his unalloyed devotees who do not want anything from the Lord, save and accept his transcendental service, the Lord is so pleased that he gives himself in exchange for an unalloyed service. So how out of the Lord, for the yogis also he rewards what they want. It could be something material hankering. Just like sometimes the kids cry very loudly, or they're very stubborn and they don't listen. And sometimes they can ask for ice cream in maybe winter, and winter it may be not very beneficial to eat ice cream in winter. But they're crying so much, then parents, okay, fine, just to make them happy, you have your ice cream, just a little bit, something like that. So it is mentioned here that out of his immense charitable position, the Lord awards some temporary powers to the yogi because of the hankering. But for the devotee, their desire is only for the transcendental service. And then for such devotees, the Lord gives himself also. That's what it is mentioned here. So, how Prabhupada is from the beginning, Prabhupada is mentioning about how all the different yogis, they, they may desire for different siddhis, etc., but the devotees are not like that. Now, for going further in 18th verse, I'm going to in the verse. Tadarshana pariplu tantaro rushattanu prema parashulochanaha nanam padam bhujamasya vishvasru yat paramhamsena pathadi gamyate. Lord translation. Lord Brahma, thus, seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, was overwhelmed with joy within his heart, and thus, in full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes filled with tears of love, he thus bowed down before the Lord. That is the way of the highest perfection for the living being, Paramahamsas. So Lord Brahma, when he sees the Lord, what is his, how is his bhava? Right? This is explained here. He's completely overwhelmed. He's seeing the Lord, he's seeing his abode, and he's completely overwhelmed. And very happy, definitely, but there's a tears of joy in his eyes, and he bows down to the Lord. And that's the highest perfection of a living being, for Paramahamsa. That's what explained here by Shukadeva Goswami mentioning. It's a very beautiful purport over here. Now, I'll just some of the points that I have noted that I'll share. Lord Brahma is actually sitting on his lotus seat. So this is towards after half of the purport. So yeah, because we are not reading directly, you can just listen probably. That's fine. So Lord Brahma is sitting on his lotus seat, and then from there, by executing the process of Bhakti Yoga in great seriousness, he could see Vaikunta Loka with all variegatedness, as well as he saw the Lord also. Now, Prabhupada, what he is mentioning here, that the tapa that Lord Brahma did, and then where he's sitting in his original position, from there he's able to see the Lord and he's the Lord. And Prabhupada says that following in the footsteps, this is the last paragraph, following in the footsteps of the Lord Brahma, any person, even up to this day, that one, up to this day, can attain same perfection by following the path of Paramahamsa as recommended herein. That is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is actually recommending that we should follow the process that Lord Brahma has followed. He has done the austerities in the mode of devotional service, and that is why he is able to see the Lord and attain the perfection of his life. This is the hope for a devotee. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna means Krishna will give the protection through by giving service, by giving devotion in that way. So Prabhupada is saying anybody who can up to this day who can follow in the footsteps of Lord Brahma can achieve that perfection. So that is a recommendation for us to follow in Lord Brahma's footsteps to please the Lord. Now, then later, it is mentioned later in the purport. Prabhupada says that the Lord is Ajita, right? Lord is Ajita, so nobody can conquer the Lord, and nobody can conquer the Lord, and basically, so why the Lord is Ajita, right? Why the Lord is Ajita? I mean, why is unconquerable or why is all powerful? Because the Lord is not dependent on anyone in any way. He is completely independent. That's why the Lord is the all power. He's the most powerful. Now, the last verse here it is mentioned, right? So this current verse, basically what Lord Brahma followed and what we are seeing, what Lord Brahma has done, right? His austerities and his pleasing the Lord. Now, the verse that has been quoted here, 10.14.3, that Jnani Prayasam, it is right there in the, basically it's mentioned in the purport itself. Jnani Prayasam Udapasya Namanta Eva Jivanti Sannukaritam Bhavadiya Varitam Thane Sita Shrutigata Tanuvan Manobhed Ye Prayasho Jitopi Asitais Trilokyan. So, O my Lord Krishna, this is Lord Brahma's words from the 10th canto. He says, O my Lord Krishna, a devotee who abandons the path of empirical philosophical speculation aimed at merging in the existence of the Supreme and engages himself in hearing your glories and activities from bona fide sadhu or saint, and who lives an honest life in the occupational engagement of his social life, can conquer your sympathy and mercy even though you are Ajita or unconquerable. So this is from Bhagavatam. So basically later Lord Brahma is recommending this process that everybody should follow. Basically, honest life and hearing your glories and activities from a bona fide sadhu, and then that way somebody can conquer, Lord's sympathy and his mercy. So Lord Brahma himself has done it, and again in later in 10th canto, that's what he's recommending. Okay. This is Lord Brahma's verse. Now, next, text 90. going to sing this verse. Tam priyamanam samupastitam kavim praja visarge nija shasanarhanam babhasha ishat smita shocisha gira priya priyam pritamana kare sprishan. Translation. And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired, and thus, being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and, slightly smiling, addressed him thus. This is very special, some Lord, actually, Lord Brahma is a Jiva. And then he actually gets such a good fortune that the Lord actually does a handshake with him, right? Shook hand with Brahma. And somebody may think like this, right? How Lord Brahma gets this good fortune? And it is only because Lord is out of his love. He is pleased with Brahma. Out of his love and appreciation only he is doing like that. And now in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is elaborating on the how Lord Brahma is actually so qualified. He took this great responsibility. It is not that he did the tapa, he got the responsibility, and he actually executed his duty honestly and with all perfection. Yeah? So in Prabhupada's words, Lord Brahma has a great responsibility in delivering the conditioned souls, and therefore he is very dear to the Lord. Brahma also does his duty very perfectly, not only by generating the living entity, but also by spreading his party for reclaiming the fallen souls. That's what it is being mentioned here. And then Prabhupada mentions about Brahma Sampradaya. So, Prabhupada makes this point here that in the Guru Parampara, following Lord Brahma, anyone, so the last paragraph, if we go last paragraph, is anyone preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord. And the Lord, being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, shakes hand with him in great satisfaction. And in Bhagavad Gita also 18.69, right, Lord mentioned that Nachatasmat Manusheshu Kaschin Priyatutamaha. So basically the Lord says, this knowledge of mine, whoever distributes to other, there is no one dear to me in this world. That's what the Lord says. So basically, how the Lord appeared, the Lord Vishnu appeared in front of Lord Brahma, he's appreciating him, he shook hands with him, appreciating. And Prabhupada is mentioning that Lord Brahma, he did his duties perfectly with much responsibility, and anybody who does in this sampradaya, he gets connected to the sampradaya, and under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, if somebody executes his responsibility and devotional service, then such a person becomes dear to the Lord. That's what report of this summary of this one. Then text 20. Now here the Lord starts speaking. Text 20. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Tvayaham toshita samyak veda garbha sishukshaya chiram vrutena tapasa dushtosha kurta yogina. The beautiful personality of Godhead addressed Lord Brahma. O Brahma, impregnated with the Vedas, I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance with the desire for creation. Hardly am I pleased with the pseudo-mystics. Now, here the Lord is saying, I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance with the desire for creation. Now, the Lord is mentioning that he has done the penance with the desire for the creation. But and then in the commentary by Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami mentions that Lord Brahma's desire for creation, that was not his dominant desire. actually for the for what reason he has performed the austerities. When he performed the austerities, he had the desire for creation, but that was not the reason that he's doing the austerities for. The main reason, actually, this I just noted this from Srila Guruji Prabhu's notes, and the book where he the Lotus Feet, Unveiling His Lotus Feet. So that's where it is mentioned about the Shivaji Goswami, what he's mentioning, that Lord Brahma, when he did all this tapa, his main desire was not about the dominant reason for the tapa was not about just the creation, but his desire was to please the Lord. That was his main purpose within his heart. And Lord knew this, that that Brahma is actually done all these austerities to actually please the Lord. That's what the Lord knew, and that's why seeing his attitude, Brahma's bhava, the mood, and like that, God was pleased, and then he impregnated Brahma with knowledge. The Lord, right? Oh, Brahma impregnated with the Veda, very much pleased with it. That's what it is mentioned. Now, going further, the Lord is saying in text 21, I wish you good luck. I wish you good luck. Varam varaya bhadram te. Bhadram te. Sometimes I see devotees in the email, they say, bhadram te, like a blessing. I wish you good luck. Oh, Brahma, you may ask from me, the giver of all benedictions, all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction as a result of all penances is to see me by realization. Then, next verse, translation, 22 translation. The highest perfectional ingenuity is the personal perception of my abodes. And this has been possible because of your submissive attitude in the performance of severe penance according to my order. Now, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that getting the perfectional stage up to what Brahma has achieved now, this can be attained by everyone who is willing to discharge the act of devotional service to the Lord as enjoined in the scriptures that are standard and accepted by the bona fide acharya, spiritual master. So, like Bhagavad Gita and approved Vedic literature by all the acharyas. Now, Prabhupada, again, this is similar to the point that Prabhupada mentioned in earlier purport. This is a recommendation for us to follow in the footsteps of Lord Brahma and willingly discharge the act of devotional service following the Shastras. Reminder for us, and then he's also mentioning one who follows us can achieve this perfectional stage. Now, I made a note here that Srila Sridhar Swami states in his commentary that how did Lord Brahma, see here he mentioned that, I'm so pleased with you, ask for a benediction. How is Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu is pleased with Lord Brahma? And it is not because why he's able to have this vision, great vision, it is not because he did lot of austerities. Actually, it is because by the grace of the Lord. Because anybody can do the austerity, but Lord by his own sweet will can actually reveal himself to somebody. So Srila Swami is mentioning that it was by the Lord's grace that Brahma saw Lord's abode, not on the strength of his austerity. That actually, there is one point I was remembering here, that definitely in this example of Lord Brahma, his effort of austerities is there, and as Sridhar Swami is mentioning, Sridhar Swami is mentioning, it is the grace of by the grace of the Lord. Now, similarly, we see in the Damodar Leela, right, when Yashoda Mata is trying to bind Lord Krishna, and the rope is always 2 inches short, and she doesn't give up. She keeps getting more and more ropes, trying to attach the rope, and she wants to bind Lord Krishna. Her desire is it that he should get the lesson that whatever mischief he has done, he should learn the lesson. She's not supposed to do that, and so that to give him some punishment, so that he behaves like a good boy. So he wants to teach him a lesson. That is her desire. And but Lord is waiting. He's not allowing her to bind. But when she starts perspiring, and she's very tired, and then the Lord is pleased with her effort, and then he allows her to bind. And then Acharyas explained that the 2 inches always short is 1 inch is our effort, and another inch is the Lord's mercy. So both are important. In our in achieving in devotional service, our effort is important, and Lord's grace is also very important. So basically, here that's what it is mentioned, that it was Lord's grace that was more important point, that it was by Lord's grace that Mama had this vision of the abode of the Lord. 9, and then next text 23 translation. O sinless Brahma, the Lord is speaking, continue to speak. O sinless Brahma, you may know from me that it was I who first ordered you to undergo penance when you were perplexed in your duty. Such penance is my heart and soul, and therefore penance and I are non-different. Now the Lord is revealing here to Brahma. So when he was on the lotus flower, and the Lord Brahma is not able to find where is he coming from, he is not able to see anybody because the creation hasn't taken place. He is the first being, so there's nobody to see for him, definitely. And he couldn't find his origin also. So he came back on the lotus flower, and then he heard tapa tapa, and then Lord is revealing here. So when you were perplexed, that at that time when he heard that sound, that was me. That's what Lord is telling here, that from me that it was I who first ordered you to undergo the penance, the tapa tapa. That was me. I told you, that's what Lord is saying. And then the Lord is saying the penance is my heart and soul. Now the penance here, I think this point probably reiterated many times. And the penance the Lord is mentioning here is under the devotional service. It is not just penance for any worldly things. So the Lord is talking about the penance that is performed for His pleasure. That is the devotional service, out of love, out of devotion, to please the Lord. That is the penance or the tapa being mentioned here. And now Prabhupada in the purport, before that, one more thing, in when the Lord is mentioned tapa tapa, and Brahma hears, just by sound vibration he hears, then he understands that this is for me, this is an instruction for me to do the tapa, and then he executes the austerities. Now actually, just by hearing, sometimes we see that, one may feel that, we need to have a personal association of the guru or acharya to be able to hear from him, or serve him directly, things like that. So the Vani and Vapu, that one point I was remembering here, just by hearing you can get the instruction just by the sound vibration. And also there's one more example. When the Kamsa was the demon, he became very, he was harassing all the people, and it became unbearable. That time, all the demigods, they went and they prayed, right, to at the ocean of at the coast of the ocean. They're praying to the Supreme Lord, my Lord. Please take care of this concern. Please give us protection, right? Like that, they are protecting. They are praying. Now, Lord Brahma, all the demigods, and Lord Brahma is the headed. So he is actually taking them towards Lord Vishnu for giving this message that please protect us, right? So all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, they went there and prayed at the ocean to the Supreme Lord. And then in that time, if we see in the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that Lord, when he spoke, when he responded to the prayers, he spoke to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma only heard the voice, not that he saw the Lord. He only heard the voice, and he could. And then after hearing, Lord said that, my dear Brahma, I will appear and I will annihilate this Kamsa and give you protection for all the devotees. Now, as soon as Lord Brahma heard this, and then he said, yeah, of course, Lord gave the message that all the demigods should take birth and then the different dynasties. Now, Lord Brahma, when he hears this sound, the message from the Lord, then he delivers this message to all the demigods. Now, Lord Brahma, it's not that Lord Brahma thought that, oh, I only heard the voice and I didn't see the Lord. I don't know who is talking or something like that. He is so much in this example. He heard tapa tapa. He executed the tapa. That time he knew if the Lord is speaking. He delivered the message. There is gonna appear, and then he delivered the message to demigods. And the demigod is not like, oh, only Brahma heard the sound and only Brahma was communicated. We didn't get any message from the Lord. They didn't feel anything like that. They were all satisfied with what Lord Brahma's message, what he got from Vishnu. Vishnu gave to Brahma, Brahma delivered to the demigods, and they were all happy. They were just happy that Lord is going to appear and he's going to grant protection. So just by the sound vibration, Lord Brahma, just by hearing, he actually executed the kripa. Now here is one important point in this purport. Prabhupada mentions that sometimes the foolish devotee of the Lord is, they want to just enjoy the material world and they not incline so much to the devotional service. And the Lord actually forcibly, it can put forcible penance for such devotee. So that is Lord's grace. Right? So, and this by such forcible penances, the devotee gets purified, and then eventually he is happily situated in the devotional service of the Lord. And therefore, I'm going to read Prabhupada's words here. Therefore, penance in devotional service of the Lord, either by voluntary submission or by being forced by the Lord, is necessary for attaining perfection. And thus, such penance is the internal potency of the Lord. So, this it is stuck to me that penances in devotional service is very important. Now, going to the text 24. And we will, I think this is the last verse that's spoken by the Lord. After this, Lord Brahma starts speaking. So this last verse, Sujami tapasai vedam, kasami tapasa punaha, vibharmi tapasa vishwam, viryam me dushcharam tapaha. I create this cosmos by such penance. I maintain it by the same energy and I withdraw it by the same energy. Therefore, the potential power is penance only. And in the purport, Prabhupada, the very small purport, but very important points. Of course, Prabhupada's all purports are good, but I liked all of it. And Prabhupada mentioned that in executing the penances, we should always be determined to return back home, back to Godhead. And must decide to undergo all types of tribulations for that end. Even for material prosperity, need pain, one has to undergo some penances. Otherwise, you cannot gain anything, right? No pain, no gain, whatever they say in material world. And then, so if for material gain also you need penances, then why it is needed that we need penances in devotional service also? So Prabhupada says here that an easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. And he says the Lord is very clever. You know, Prabhupada mentions many times, Krishna, you cannot trick Krishna. You have to deal Krishna very wise, deal with Krishna very carefully and wisely. And of course, the devotion with utmost devotion, but that's what Prabhupada is mentioning. The Lord is more clever than any living entity. Therefore, he wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. Right? Krishna wants to see that. And the order is revealed either directly from the Lord or through the spiritual master. Right? That's what it is mentioned. So one who follows the principle rigidly is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. So this is the how Lord appeared to Lord Brahma and how he has revealed his abode and himself in this particular section. After this, just briefly I'll mention there is Lord Brahma inquires more, then Chatushloki Bhagavatam, and after that the Lord Brahma also I really like one of the important points in this whole thing, that when Lord Brahma gets all the empowerment and knowledge from Lord, Brahma says that my Lord, kindly make sure that I don't get puffed up because I got such a big service, and I remain humble. That is Brahma's mood. So I really liked this section, in what way how Lord Brahma has done tapa. It is a devotional service, and it is for the pleasure of the Lord. So any penance doesn't have the importance, but as long as it is for the pleasure of the Lord, then that is, if it comes under Bhakti Yoga, then that is what is important for the Lord. And how Lord is favorably disposed towards the devotees, and how much appreciation is showing for Lord Brahma. And then Lord Brahma's mood that, please, I pray that all this Mataji is highlighting may not give rise to pride as if I were the supreme. So that I really, I really stuck to my heart how Lord Brahma's attitude is. And yeah, so this is something. And also, so I think we'll conclude this particular section over here. And I just wanted to mention that one small point, because there's only 5 minutes I will give. I want to hear from devotees also, but there's one point I wanted to mention, because Vijayadashmi is coming. So on the occasion of Vijayadashmi, there was one lecture I was hearing from some time back from Giriraj Maharaj, and in that particular lecture, it was a Ramnavami lecture, I think, or Vijayadashmi lecture, I think. It was about Lord Ram. And Maharaj mentions that Prabhupada, when the Juhu temple was built, that time, Prabhupada mentioned that Mr. Nair was very powerful. He owned many of the newspaper agencies in the Mumbai. He was a sheriff, and he was a powerful person. And Prabhupada said, then how did we win? How did we win? And then Prabhupada said that our position is to make an effort, just a sincere effort, and Lord will actually give us all the protection. And only by His grace we were able to win. And only by His grace we were able to win. And then Prabhupada mentioned that how, Maharaj was mentioning that how in Lord's army, only Ram and Lakshmana had the bow and arrow. All the monkeys, they only threw some trees and stones and things like that. But without any special weapons, actually, they were still able to win because they sincerely made the effort, and they were acting under the Lord's guidance. So that's why, even though they're without any special weapons or anything like that, their efforts were all were success. And Prabhupada Maharaj was mentioning that Prabhupada says that that is our position. That is our position. To make effort, to make a sincere effort, we may not have all the things that we want, or we may think that this is important. But yeah, to making a sincere effort is very important. And in that class, I just wanted to mention this point that Prabhupada mentions that Maharaj mentions, quoting Prabhupada, that this way, if anybody tries to give Lord Krishna, serve Lord Krishna, and tries to give Lord Krishna to others, it could be. So we have to actually approach Lord Nityananda, to approach Lord Chaitanya, and then to approach Lord Chaitanya, we have to approach Jagai and Madai. And it could be done. That means it could be anywhere on the streets, on the airports, or neighborhood, or anywhere like that. So and in this way we can make our effort, and then Lord will keep effort, and then as Vaisheshika Prabhu says, right, success. I think I missed the point that I was trying to make, but because I wanted to rush. I rushed at the end. I'm sorry, but yeah, but yeah. Thank you so much, and I just a few minutes are there, so we'll please correct me if I made any mistakes, and give your corrections, comments, and any questions. I'll try to answer, and if I don't, I will. We can take some more information.
Thank you so much, Kameshwari. That I liked your powerful points, and I also felt very confident when you were saying that how, like Krishna shook hand with Brahma, and how he got that, like by doing his responsibility, and how Prabhupada doesn't leave that as just a story, right? Like he is saying that like anybody who comes in that parampara can also like kind of get the same appreciation from the Lord. This kind of makes us feel that these are not just stories, but for things that we should emulate in your life, following in their footsteps. And I think how you related that and the other pastimes was so natural and inspiring. Thank you so much, Kameshwari.
Thank you, Madhu.
And thank you for taking this opportunity in a very short notice, and you had prepared so well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Only for your pleasure I did this. Just so
yeah,
that,
thank you. It was so nice, Kameshwari. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kameshwari Mataji. That was such a beautiful class. It was a hard topic, is what I thought when you started, but it was so beautifully covered. And I also second Gandharvika Radha Mataji. That was the realization that stuck to me, that, how Prabhupada finishes it off by saying that ultimately Krishna will also shake hands with us if we are a part of the parampara, and how nicely you finished the class, quoting Maharaj's lecture, and how it goes all the way to Jagai Madai, and then you can reap the mercy of the entire parampara. Very, very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much. The verses were beautiful. Your explanations were beautiful. Your little stories were also very beautiful. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. You are all, Mataji, you are the experts, but thank you for kindly appreciating my tiny.
I feel so fortunate to be here in this class, Mataji. Thank you. Please give more classes, Mataji.
Sure, Mataji. As a service, I will try. Okay. Till 8:30. And are there any announcements, Mataji, or we should do Anchakal?
No, Kameshwari, we can just end.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And this weekend we have classes with Vaisheshika Prabhu,
Mm.
so everybody can join. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and kindly forgive if I made any mistakes. And if there was less time now, please kindly send me corrections later also. But very happy to be that you are all came. Panchakalpatarubhishcha kripa sindhu.
Dubye vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Her Grace
Jai.
Kameshwari Mataji ki jai. All
Jai.
glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
We just end the call, right, Mataji?